What does the Karl Anthony Towns trade mean for the Cleveland Cavaliers? Cat sent to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, two contenders in the East and in the West, changing things up. How's it going to fall on Cleveland? What will this mean for the Cleveland Cavaliers, their roster, their playoff chances? There are effects here. There is meaning behind this, and we are going to jump into it here on Cavs Digest. We appreciate you tuning back in with us. Billy Beebe with you to discuss more of what's going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And look, on this channel, we are talking about things that directly happen with the Cavs, and when something outside the organization happens that could affect it, we're going to break that down and discuss that too. That's what we are going to do today, and I'm excited to do so with the Cavaliers, who, yes, I believe are affected by this. Not just a team they could play in the playoffs, a team they could play in the East, change their roster up, but I think this is an example of something that could happen with the Cavaliers, something the Cavaliers could do, something that could happen within the NBA. So we'll be jumping into that, and we'll also be jumping into what's coming up content-wise in the next few days. Very excited to jump into that. So let's talk about it. I was just mentioning, go wrong side here. So we'll get to that. Karl Anthony Towns traded to the New York Knicks. Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle traded to the Timberwolves. A star swap. Call them stars if you want. Call them whatever you want. They are all stars, literally. Karl Anthony Towns, a 4-time All-Star. Julius Randle, a 3-time All-Star. Swapped for each other. I think this is not a win-win. I think it's a change. And we will jump into that more. This will have effects for the Cavaliers. It will affect the Cavaliers, of course. So the first thing, obviously, for the Cavs, this is a team change, right? So a team in the East that the Cavaliers are playing has changed their roster. So you bump into the Knicks now. Do I think the Knicks are different? Maybe. I think Cat has had some difference making and some non-difference making. I think he's a personality that it seems his teammates didn't quite enjoy, and he's a personality that likes to be out there, and that's a personality that worked in Minnesota. I don't know that that's going to work in New York. I also think Dante DiVincenzo is a great shooter. So you bring on Cat and you trade away Dante DiVincenzo, who, again, I thought was a good shooter. Literally won them a playoff game against Philly, shooting the lights out late. So the Cavaliers' competition has changed. We will have to see how this works out. This felt like a midseason trade to me, like both teams were kind of going through it and thought, let's mix it up. However, in my opinion, I think the Knicks got a read that Towns was available, thought to themselves, well, we don't want a bunch of bidders to go against, and let's get this done now. Let's get this going for training camp, and let's get this season going. Cat's had a long journey in the NBA, a couple different teams. He was the guy. Jimmy Butler's in. Jimmy Butler's out. They're finally a contender with Edwards. He was hurt most of last year, actually, and then ended up getting to play in the playoff game. And look, for me, how I describe him, that 50-point game he had against Charlotte, they lost. That's Karl Anthony Towns in a nutshell. Decent player, pretty good player, bad team for years, and not a difference maker. I mean, at points he became unplayable for them against Dallas. So I'm not necessarily scared of him on the Knicks. That is not a backbreaker for me, a killer for me to see him on the Knicks. For Randle, I think he's relieved to get out of New York. That'll mix things up for him. In Minnesota, he will have to adjust. He's not the guy there anymore. In a sense, he was a guy in New York, even with Brunson there. He had helped them get to the playoffs before Brunson got there, so he'll have to adjust his thinking there. But I like it more for Minnesota because Randle he'll have to adjust everything, and I think DiVincenzo's a good player. So, you get a 2-for-1. To me, honestly, Cat and Randle are about the same guy. That's my opinion. Worth-wise to your team, same player, not exactly. Randle's a ball hog, a go-to-work guy, a hold the ball and go guy, so they'll have to change that up. DiVincenzo, a pretty decent defender and a good shooter. So I do think Minnesota wins that trade. However, again, it's not a win-win, it's a change. New York's got to mix things up. I don't know that they ever liked this Nova Knicks thing that was going on, only lasted 2 months. But for the Cavaliers, I want to flip the thinking here, okay? Because this is proof to me that a guy like Darius Garland could get traded. Yes, the rumors have flown around. Yes, the rumors have circulated for a while now that Darius Garland could get traded. This is proof that it is easy for a team, and for Garland specifically, that this upcoming season is huge because he can be traded. He can be moved with ease. Minnesota had a great year, a franchise year. They haven't been to the Western Conference Finals since Kevin Garnett was there, and they had no shot. They had a shot in this one. And they moved a 4-time All-Star, a guy who can average 25 and 10. Why? Because they saw what he was like in the playoffs. They saw inconsistency. They saw personality problems. And they thought, we've got a real shot here. We need to move on. Same with New York. Randall, 25 and 10 2 years ago. A 3-time All-Star. A guy that came in before Brunson did. And got some relevance back for the New York Knicks. And they moved him to change things up. They saw too many injuries. Too many personality problems. Too much change that maybe he couldn't adjust to. I think Garland's in that same place. I think Darius Garland has had some serious issues adapting with this team. Sorry, trying to get the Garland picture back up. And we'll just go to his stats here. You look at his stats last year, and we know it, right? Death of his grandmother, tough. His injury problems, tough. But this is a guy who literally could not hit a three-pointer in a make-or-break playoff game. That's where he was at by the end of the season. Did some decent things against Boston, not enough decent things. If you watch this channel, be sure to subscribe, be sure to comment. I have a lot on Darius Garland this year. I am putting a lot on him. This needs to be a career year for him. He needs to feel great after this year. The Cavaliers need to feel great after this year, or a change could be made. Koby Altman, Kenny Atkinson, they will think about making a change. With him specifically, this is a guy who's already part of Clutch, who I'm sure has raised some hell in the front office about possibly being traded and touches and timelines. And if he doesn't get it done, there's no reason to move him. A quick side note, I think Jarrett Allen is another name that this is just proof. If you're not benefiting the fullest and they got to change things up, well, personality-wise, you've been playing. You've been hurt the past year. You get bullied here and there against the Knicks. Time to move on. It's clear the Cavaliers can move on. This is just evidence they'll be able to move on. Now, let's skip to Monday real quick before we wrap this thing up. Cavs Media Day. We will have content on this channel recapping what happened at Media Day, talking about some points, exclusive footage, a lot of really cool things, so you're going to want to subscribe. Drop down to the comments, though. Let me know what you think. Is this clear now that the Cavaliers could be the next team to make a move like this, move on from a star in Darius Garland with ease? They did this on a Saturday or a Friday night after high school football. A couple days before Media Day, the Knicks did this. The Cavaliers, they could do it with ease next season as the offseason starts if they don't accomplish their goals. Drop down to the comments. Let me know what you think, and be sure to subscribe to Cavs Digest.